Hello, friends. Hello, friends.
A tradition unlike any other.
Oh my goodness. In your life have you seen anything like that?
There it is! Adam Scott, a life changer. Mashed potato!
Here it comes.
This is the 19th Tee podcast. Kieran Marsh, Nathan Drudy back with you for another week. Druds, very excited for our guest this evening. He is a multiple winner in his career across the PGA Tour of Australasia. He is a winner most recently this season at the Queensland PGA. And he's joining us, I must say, from what looks like very comfortable surrounds at the Coogee Bay Hotel ahead of the TPS Bonnie Doon this week. I speak, of course, of Anthony Quayle. Quayle, welcome to the 19th Tee. Thanks for joining us. Great to finally have you on.
Mate, absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Can I just say off the top, I certainly feel as though Drudes and I may need to go and redress, because you are comfortably through close to 190 episodes, the most dapper-looking guest we've had on. I think sitting there in the Ralph Polo on the couch punching a Shiraz, not bad. Tournament
Honestly,
week.
mate, I kind of wish I had a can of gold and a cap to go with me. I feel like I'm being a little bit left out here. So
we can hook you up with the cap. That's about it. We can't sort you out with the goal.
Yeah, we unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, very fortunately for us, the sponsorship is through Gage Road. So no Milton Mangoes on this program. But mate, I think it's very appropriate. You know, sitting there in the lovely beachside suburb of Coogee, that you're sitting there having a red and what looks like very comfortable surrounds ahead of tournament week. Tell us a little bit about how things have been since touching down ahead of the TPS. It's a great tournament, but obviously the cloud of rain hanging over the week at present.
yeah, look, I think it's a little bit more than just a cloud of rain. It's going to be a pretty tricky week, I think. I spoke to the PGA today. They seem pretty confident we're going to get 4 rounds in, but I was really just looking at him in absolute disbelief when he was talking about it. I just thought, come on, man, like, this place should be underwater by now, and we've got even more on the way. But to be fair to Bonnie Doon's credit, it really has held up pretty well so far. But I don't know, we've got a lot of rain to come, so we'll see.
You're a Queenslander, obviously by residence, and we certainly adopt you up here. How has it been for you to, obviously travelling away from home, look back at, I suppose, the last couple of days up in Queensland from a distance?
Looking at what here in New South Wales, or being back, just everything?
Just in general for you, being away from all the, I suppose, the devastation that's been going on. As a Queenslander looking back, it must be a little bit surreal to be that far away. But you know, seeing a lot of places that you'd know and I'm sure hold dear, you know, go through a fair bit of grief in the last couple of days.
It's pretty unbelievable. I don't think I can really sort of say a lot that is probably going to, ease too many people's situations or anything like that. But I guess everything that's going on there right now, we were really lucky. Myself and my friends, on the Gold Coast were reasonably untouched. A couple of our mates actually started to have a few issues today and late yesterday after I'd left. But a few friends that I have in Brisbane, just absolute devastation. You know, places that they own, their businesses, their homes are totally underwater. They've had to evacuate. It's hard to really, I know we've seen it a little bit, probably over the last decade, maybe a little bit more, but every time it happens, you're kind of pretty blown away with how damaging it is for those people and their lives. And yeah, I'm not sure what I can really say to add much more to it.
We were only talking about a little earlier in the week that, everyone's been affected, but there's barely a golf course in the southeast Queensland region that hasn't in some way, shape or form taken a hit. What's your home track when you generally play back on the coast, Quayle? And I imagine it's probably, like many others, it's probably taken a bit of a hit too.
Yeah, I probably float around a little bit more nowadays. I spend most of my time at Sanctuary Cove, but I like to get around and play a few different places. But at the moment, I think everything's shut. Everything's completely under. Nudgee, actually, where we were all pretty familiar playing around there for a week, not that long ago. I saw a photo yesterday from the first tee looking down the first fairway. There's this massively tall, 15 to 20 metre high gum, and it looks like half of the gum is underwater. It's unbelievable. It's an elevated tee hitting down to the fairway, and that half of that gum is missing. It's unbelievable. So
we will get to nudge in that most recent victory of yours at the Queensland PGA, but I want to take it kind of back to the other end. Let's bookend it. Let's talk about the start of your journey, because doing a little bit of research today, and if I've got it right, Port Macquarie born, Northern Territory raised, and you land yourself in Queensland. So it's quite a unique journey, and in that time probably seen a number of different golfing pathways. So tell us a little bit about, I suppose, the formative years for Anthony Quayle, and I suppose your first maybe exposure to the game, whether it was in which of those three places did you first pick up a club?
That's some pretty rock solid research on your part. So I was born in Port Macquarie, but I don't have too many memories. My dad was a mechanic, and we moved to a small country town. It was a mining town in the Northern Territory called Gove when I was about 4 or 5 years old. Dad was a mechanic. He got a job up there. Originally worked at FIFO, and then we all moved up there. And there's not a lot going on there. I can't really remember. There might have been about 3,000 people that lived there at the time. And the nearest town was Katherine. And Katherine was a 9-hour drive on corrugated dirt road through a couple of rivers. We needed a snorkel on a 4x4 to be able to get out of town. Otherwise, you had nothing. You could fly, but for an hour flight to Darwin, it was setting you back $700-800. It was pretty expensive at the time. So, incredibly remote. Lived up there. Nobody in my family ever touched a club, but I used to ride my push bike past the golf course on the way to school, and I saw some people just playing golf, and there wasn't a lot else to do in Gove, Northern Territory. So I wrote a wish list when I was 6 asking for a set of golf clubs, and Mum and Dad they went to the local news agency and bought me a set of Looney Tune golf clubs, and got started from there. I had 5 golf clubs, each grip and sort of like colouring in the cavity on the back of the club was sort of matching. So you had like a red one, a yellow one, and a blue one, and whatever, and they were all different characters from the Looney Tunes. So, I guess it all started from there.
Did you have sort of any idea at that stage that you could make a life out of golf, or did you know that? Had you ever seen it on TV, or was it just purely, hey, there's nothing else to really do in this town, I'm going to go and have a hit?
I did genuinely love it. I could have got into footy or a few different things up there, because that was really the other option. That's what a few other players did. I think he was probably a few years older than me at the time, but Billy Chambers was from Gove as well. So there was quite a big sort of football background up there. But I don't know. I just really enjoyed golf when I was younger, and I enjoyed like just flighting a golf ball, even though it wasn't going very far at that age. I just enjoyed seeing kind of a golf ball kind of travel through the air. And for me, it just got me pretty excited. I was just like, fuck, how good is this? I just want to keep doing this. So, I always said I wanted to be a professional golfer. I never really knew what that entailed, but I was always like, I don't care what that means. That's just what I want. I'm just going to keep working for it.
Tell us about the Gove golf course, because I'm listening to you describe Gove, a 9-hour drive to Katherine, an hour flight to Darwin. I'm trying to picture the Gove golf course, and in my head, I'm imagining something like the Kalgoorlie course, where we've got fairways and barren dirt. Is it anything like that? What sort of environment are we looking at there in Gove?
Well, Kalgoorlie, you could argue, is a fantastically well manicured desert golf course. Definitely one of the best in our country. And potentially sort of worldwide, it would be reasonably high on that list, I would have thought. Gove was a 9-hole golf course built on swampland. So during wet season, we would lose the golf course more or less, barring a little bit here and there, and we'd create like a little short course, a shorter course of an already short course. But the community there was great. For me, it was just the best place I could ever be. In the wet season, when we used to get these massive downpours, I used to live for Wednesday chook run, Friday beer runs, and Saturday comp. It was just the best part of my week, easily, those 3 days. And if any of them got rained out, it was just pure devastation. My life was over. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't sure how I was going to get through it. And so the golf course, it just had a great community there. Everybody was super welcoming with me. They always encouraged my enthusiasm for golf. They there was like 3 juniors. One of them was my brother, and he really hated it. So there was kind of 2 juniors, and I'm not sure how enthusiastic the other junior was. I just enjoyed being out there and playing. I think I actually, when I was maybe about 13, started volunteering on the green stuff, because the majority of the work and maintenance around the place was voluntary. So when I was 13 and 14, they used to get me on the mowers and go out and mow the greens prior to the Saturday comp and things like that. And I used to love it. I used to try and sort of just cut them a little bit tighter than what other people would, just to give myself a little bit more prep and just enjoy it. And, really fun memories of my time back there.
When was the last time you got back there? Have you been back for recently? I mean, 2-time winner now, or multiple-time winner on the PGA Tour of Australasia, played over in Japan. You'd be a local celebrity going back, Quayle, wouldn't you?
I don't know. Celebrity status might be a ways off yet, but I haven't been back there for a little while, not since my late teens. So my plan is to get back there at some point. There's a few members there who I've kept in touch with sporadically over the years, and they're doing a fantastic job for a remote location like that, encouraging juniors to play and creating a bit of a junior development program. So I would like to, in some small way, go back and probably support that and be able to help influence that in a positive way at some point.
What was the next sort of phase of your journey like after collecting your Looney Tunes clubs? When you were at the age of 7, you obviously showed a little bit of talent that you were able to flight the ball, as you were talking about. But what's that sort of next phase of your journey? I guess, when we talk to anyone, that next phase of life is where I guess the love of golf really gets instilled, and I guess you're able to start to see the pathways that can come about it. Was that similar for yourself?
So actually, this is a good story. My dad was driving me to the golf course one day, and he didn't secure the tray on our ute that well. So we're driving there, and the Looney Tunes clubs fell out the back of the ute.
Oh, no.
And so we're definitely not a wealthy family by any means. And so those Looney Tune golf clubs, albeit quite modest, were, sort of gold, especially in my eyes. And I think they've fallen out of the back of the tray, and just half the town seemingly ran over them on the way to the golf course. So they were ruined. And Mum and Dad ended up investing in, I think, a young gun set. And I think I went from five golf club set to maybe a 7 golf club set. So for me, it was a massive win. From there, Mum and Dad, like I said to me when I was, I'm going to say probably 13 years old, they said, look, you're really enjoying it. There's some options here if you do really want to be a golf professional. And they showed me, I think it was a brochure for Kelvin Grove and Hills International College. And at the time, I didn't really understand what it meant. I was going to be living away from home, quite a ways away from home. And coming from sort of Gove, Northern Territory into place Brisbane or surrounding suburbs was quite a culture shock. So I was just like, yeah, absolutely. If this means I'm going to be a pro, send me there. I just want to go. And so they did. And at the time, I didn't realize the sacrifices they made. My dad was a mechanic. My mum was a hairdresser. So Mum ended up turning my bedroom in the house into a hair salon and starting her own sort of hairdressing business out of our house to kind of help fund the boarding school. And so they sent me to boarding school, which at the time I just thought was the greatest thing ever. I ended up choosing Hills because the dorms were on the golf course. And for me at the time, that was just the biggest selling point. I could just wake up, go to golf, go to sleep. And it was the best thing ever. Try and do as little school as possible. Ended up going down there, and yeah, it was great. I think for me, I wouldn't be here where I am without going to Hills. I think for a couple of reasons. One, professional golf, you're on your own a lot. You do have to be reasonably comfortable in your own company. So going to boarding school so far away from family was actually quite a decent learning curve for me in my early years. And then also the access I had to high quality coaches at the time helped me out. I probably wouldn't have got that if I stayed in Gove.
I tell you what, not only has mum sacrificed for you, she's really backed you in because there was no place for you to sleep. Clearly, if it didn't go all that well and you come home,
we had a
pretty salon.
We had a decent futon in the lounge room, so that was handy.
Tell us about you mentioned culture shock, I think was the phrase. You're a kid from Gove lobbing into the Hills, and we've had a couple of your fellow alumni from the Hills on previously. I wonder if when you arrive there, do you have any sense? I mean, it's such a a famous nursery, buried in the Gold Coast there. Do you have any sort of sense when you lob in from Gove of the aura of the place you've walked into and the types of names that have walked those same corridors, slept in the same dorms, played the same range, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, when I first got there, we had pictures of Jason Day everywhere in the dorms and school, and we would hear stories and gossip and rumors about such and such who used to be there and shot 63 or whatever, and you just think, man, they're a god. Like they're just famous forever at school, and just being there, for me, I was super overwhelmed by the possibility that you could be on the same pathway as some of these people. And I think that was the great thing about that school, is you had constant inspiration to continue to work hard at what you were doing, because you knew you were potentially following a path to where your role model in your life was. So I think for a lot of us, we were quite fortunate, actually. We had a few people who would come back from, going to college in the States or things like that, and they would just come back to visit the coaches who they had relationships with, and we got to learn a little bit from them and kind of what those next few years might look like for us, either in the later stages of high school or the first few years post high school. It was great. The experience was unbelievable.
And what about from a golfing perspective? How is that adjustment? Because I recall, Aaron Pike, one of your fellow Territorians, the story that he told about, being a big fish in a relatively small golfing pond in the Territory and making that move to Queensland, and probably getting a bit of a reality check about the necessity to take another step up again if you're going to match it with, coming into somewhere like a Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria.
Yeah, there's definitely that element. I would say for me, the experience was a little bit different. I think what Aaron's saying is totally correct. However, I wouldn't say when in my early years, because of the probably lack of exposure I had, particularly in the very early stages of my golfing career, I never felt like I was sort of too good. I never felt like I was too poor, but I knew whenever I competed interstate that I wasn't the best. And so for me, I really only ever played golf because I just loved it. I absolutely loved being out there. I love being able to do different things out on the golf course. I just really enjoyed the sport. And so for me, there wasn't too many comparisons like, oh man, that guy's better than me. I really have to flog him. How do I find a way to be better than him? I was probably just a little bit more, man, I'm enjoying this, but how much more enjoyable would this be if I could shoot 69? Or how much more enjoyable would this be if I could shoot 65? And I think that was really, for me, the biggest motivator once I got to Hills was, like, I think I got there as maybe a 9 handicapper as a 14-year-old or something like that. And then this was on the old handicapping system where once you got to 4, it became really difficult to get down to a scratch marker. And I think I might have got to maybe 3 or something in my first year. And then the year after, I got the plus figures on the old handicapping system, and I was starting to shoot under par pretty regularly. And I was just thinking, man, this is a lot of fun, And then I think it was probably around when I was maybe 15, 16 years old, I probably at that point started to, I guess, compare myself to where like an Adam Scott was at that point in their career, or a Jason Day was, or a Robert Allenby was, or any of those Australian legends that have come before us. I probably heard rumours or facts, or who even knows what they were now. I just heard it from, me mate in the dorms, that this is what they were doing at this age. So you were trying to beat that and sort of get to that. But I think there was always competition among my peers, but never to the point where I felt probably disheartened or concerned in any serious way.
by going to the hills, and obviously at the age of 15 or 16, you know that your life is golf by that point. You're going to become a professional golfer. Are you aware at that stage what the next step is to becoming a professional golfer? Obviously, having an amateur career, going to college, turning pro straight away. There's so many different options that people and golfers can take, particularly more so nowadays than perhaps maybe 20, 30 years ago. Are you aware at the age of 15, 16 of what that next step kind of looks like?
Definitely not. No, not even close to it. Again, if you were totally aware, if you were totally aware of what it would take from start to finish to become a professional golfer, and then what you sort of have to do as a professional golfer, you would probably just look at it and just say, man, that's going to take some work. But I think it's probably the same as anything in life, right? Like if you're looking at, I wouldn't say where I am is the end goal, but I would say let's just, for argument's sake, say being a golf professional is your end goal. And you would just sort of say, okay, well, I just want to be a golf professional. I just want to get there. And you were only looking at what it takes at that point, then you're probably thinking, that's a fair bit of work. But if it's just little steps in front of you, you kind of just like, well, I really want to achieve this. I want to be a 5 marker. I want to be a 2 marker. I want to be a scratch marker. I want to be able to shoot, sub 70 consistently, so on. It doesn't seem all that daunting. You can kind of just continue to chip away at it. It's probably the same as anything in life, really. Like being a golf professional is not all that special. We're not out curing cancer or fighting wars or anything like that. We're just playing golf and having a laugh with our mates on the course. So, but I think that the challenge along the way is really what keeps you going, rather than just thinking this is what it's going to take to get there.
Take us through the next sort of part of your golfing career. I guess you graduate from the hills, and maybe give us an insight into your amateur career, and then your decision to turn pro and how that came about, and who you consulted. Yeah,
so I then I did a couple of US trips as an amateur. I did a UK trip. I went over and just played events internationally just to try to gain a little bit of experience and exposure to different courses, different people, higher level of competition, and enjoyed it, really loved it. I loved playing golf in America. I felt like the courses suit my game. I just felt like everybody was so nice in America too. Like being a country kid sort of growing up, and Australians, which I love, don't get me wrong, but Australians love hosing their mates, which I can't sort of sit here and say that that's a bad thing, because I love hosing my mates. But I think I went to America, especially when I was sort of like 18, 19 and still reasonably naive, still, pretty young country kid. And everybody just compliments you. Like there's no just hosing you, just even if it's a false compliment, like super naive. I'm just like, man, everyone's so nice here. This is unbelievable. And so like, I'm just walking around thinking, I'm just like, man, this is my place. This is where I want to be. And so for me, it was a great experience. I loved playing golf over there. I enjoyed playing in Europe as well, in the UK. I came back to Australia, and then at that point I might have been 22, I think. I can't remember, 22 or 23. And I decided to turn professional. And I went to Australian tour school, and I just got my tour card. Actually, I couldn't believe it. I turned pro before Q school, which when you're an amateur, you think, oh, this is quite daunting, because I might be turning professional before I have status anyway. And I ended up turning professional before Q school because I was a chance at getting a start in the Australian PGA. And I thought, well, I might as well, start my professional career there. As it turned out,
earn some cash for you. Well,
exactly. The Australian PGA didn't come to fruition, so now no PGA, no status, turn pro at Q school, top 40 get a card, and I'm coming 60th or 65th going into the last round. And I remember waking up that morning, I was like, Quayle, what are you doing? This is not good. And we get to the golf course, and it's hosing down. It is blowing. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is getting really bad. This is sort of nightmare stuff. I'm who knows what I'm going to do next year. And I ended up shooting, the weather was terrible, and I shot 69 3 under, which was low round of the day because it was just brutal. And I ended up jumping from 65th up to like 30th or something like that. So I just got my card. And because it was 30th, it was like, it wasn't a fantastic card. It was only conditional sort of status. And so the very next week was the Victorian PGA, which was a Pro-Am format. And I had to Monday qualify because there was less starts available. So I went to the Monday qualifier. I shot 7 under in the Monday qualifier and won to get in. Got in the tournament, and I was 15 under through about 14 holes on Sunday and leading the tournament with 4 holes to go. My very first professional start. And I was shitting myself. I was so nervous. I couldn't believe it. And I was just like, I'm trying to tell myself, no, I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. I feel good. Like, this is fine. And I think I bogeyed my last 4 holes. Or I might have even had a double in there somewhere. I can't quite remember. But anyway, it was an ambulance job. It was pretty bad. And I finished 12th. And I remember thinking, man, if I finished like that in an amateur tournament, I probably still would have collected a podium finish. This professional golf's pretty hard. And then I got a text from the PGA. They send you out a text after every round with your paycheck and all that sort of stuff. And my first check was $2,700. I was like, man, if I can gas it for $2,700 every week, I'm happy. That's fine. And then, yeah, just went from there. I sort of continued in Australia for that year. I played decent, kept my card comfortably. And then I went to Japan tour school. At the end of that year, I had to go through 3 stages, got through each stage, finished 4th at Japan Q school, got my card in Japan the following year, and then have been playing up there ever since.
I want to get to Japan in a minute because I have 1,000 questions. It's a place that absolutely fascinates me.
Sure.
But just on the Q school experience. So when you reflect on, I suppose, your journey to date, without wanting to put too much and invest too much into one moment, how important do you think that 69 low round on Sunday was to shoot up into the top 40? Because we have heard, I've lost track the amount of horror, Q school stories we've heard from guys on this podcast, and the scar tissue that leaves, right? When you have a bad experience, you've managed to have the low round on Sunday, you get your status, you get out the next week, and you leak a bit of oil in the last 4 holes, but you still have a pretty good showing your first professional event. And all of a sudden, you've got a bit of momentum and you're off and away. And it's a real sliding doors moment, right? It could have been the exact opposite. You spoke about the pressure that you were under having turned pro with no status, and it could be a different story.
Look, I have to admit, I've been incredibly fortunate just to be playing golf, having mum and dad have kind of put that time and energy into me to do that. And then in those situations, I feel like I've been quite lucky too. I don't know. I think probably that particular round, if I hadn't have kept my card, it leaves me in limbo for a year, I guess. You're not playing in events. You're not playing in amateur events over in the US or UK like I had the years previous. I'm not doing anything to really sharpen skills or anything like that because you're not playing in any tournaments. You're not just going to get given invites. So for me, that round at the time, if I had known how important it was, I knew I was pretty disappointed, but if I had known how important it was looking back on it, I probably would have been shitting bricks, probably wouldn't have shot or a shot. But I guess I don't know, you just kind of go out and try to do the best you can. And I'm just super fortunate that it kind of fell my way, I guess, in that situation.
Fed 2020, mate. We're gonna round out with the Aussie stuff, and then we'll touch on Japan because, as Marshy said, there's so much to discuss here. And KM has literally just sent me a message saying I've got a fair bit on Japan, so you might need to grab that bottle of rouge that you've got there, mate, and just strap yourself in for the arvo. But now let's Pelican Waters at the Queensland Open, mate. I guess. What a phenomenal week. 67, 69, 67 and a 70 to finish off. 15 under and obviously a regulation par in the first playoff hole. You said, here's your quote, it feels incredible. I mean, is that as simple as it was? Because it must have just blown your mind to be winning a state open, I guess, one that is so close to your heart as well, and one that you've fought so, I guess, so hard to win on the Aussie Tour as well. Can you take us through what that week was like, and particularly that playoff hole as well?
Yeah. I think probably prior to that, I'd had almost half a dozen genuine chances of winning tournaments domestically and internationally. I had a couple my first year in Australia where I probably could have won. I had one at the New Zealand PGA, one at the Victorian PGA, and let both of those slip. And from great positions. And then I got to Japan in 2018, my first year up there. And in my second tournament, I was the first reserve, just got in last minute. And then I'm in contention to win, playing the last hole. And I make bogey on the last hole. And I think, oh no, how bad's this? And then Wai Yang, of all people, like I watched him beat Tiger Woods, hasn't won, never seen him for the last decade, comes out of nowhere and ends up holding like a 20-something footer on the last to beat me up in Japan in my second event. And then that same year in Fiji, I had a course record in the last round in pretty tough conditions, playing with Ernie Els. Like Ernie Els and I were having a pretty cool time. He was a legend. And then he had a great round too. And then I had a one-shot lead and I'm sitting in the clubhouse. And me and Ernie are sitting in the scorer's tent. Ernie said to me, he's like, mate, you got a one-shot lead. You're probably okay, but just prepare for a playoff. Just like he's trying to give me some advice and help me out. Just prepare for a playoff just so you don't get your hopes up. Because Guggenjeet Buller had just hit this like sort of flub, just like short right of the green on 17 on this par 5, going for it for 2. Had whatever it was, maybe 50-odd meters or something. It was more like a bump and run to a back left pin. And then like 30 seconds after Ernie said that, Guggenjeet holds it for eagle and goes from 1 behind to 1 ahead. And I'm just sitting in the scorer's tent like, you have got to be joking me. This can't be real. And so in that, so I ended up coming second that week. So prior to that Queensland Open, I had a few chances to win and a few through my own hiccups, and then that I didn't end up winning, and then a few from people behind me doing pretty extraordinary things as well, but having just clipped me. So when I got to that week, everything was kind of going my way for the week. I think I was maybe tied leading going into the last round, and I was 3 or 4 under par through 10 holes. I can't remember, or 11 holes. I can't remember. No, through 10 holes. And that had given me maybe a 3-shot lead or something like that. And then I made a bogey on the 11th, and I didn't do a lot wrong, but I missed it in an ordinary spot, got an ordinary lie, hit a flop up onto the green to maybe like 10 feet, hit a decent putt, but it just didn't go in. It was a 200-meter par 3, so a bogey there is not unreasonable. And for some reason on the 12th, I felt like I have to hit driver and try and go for the green with a 2 or 3-shot lead. I don't know why I thought that, but I thought I had to. And I've hit the biggest duck hook you've ever seen in your life, just straight into the trees. It was awful. And I had to like try and hit this sort of like high lob wedge back into play. And I got it up high enough, but it didn't get back into play. It's landed in just the worst place on the golf course, probably. Did well to chip it out, pitched it up, missed the putt, made double. And I think Jack Thompson at the time, he either made a birdie or a par or something. Either way, I'm pretty sure we were level. And I am just seething inside. I was so angry. And I had my coach on the bag. And at the time, I was just like, here we go again. It's happening again. I was filthy. And I'm just I'm swearing. I'm just saying, come on, Quayle, you're an idiot. What are you doing? And like noticeably red in the face, like just not happy at all. And anyway, so on the very next hole, I hit my tee shot. It was a drivable par 4, more legitimately drivable than the 12th. And I ended up making par, missed it left, whatever. And I was walking a little bit quickly to the next tee. And there was a little bit of a walk to get there. And KB, my coach, grabbed me. And he's 70 years old, doesn't move very quick. It's an absolute marathon effort for him to push my bag for 4 rounds. And so he's somehow caught up to me as I'm kind of storming off through the crowd and whatever. And he's grabbed the back of my belt on my pants and pulled me back. Can I swear on you?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay. He's pulled the back of me belt and ripped me back. And he's like, calm the fuck down. Pull your fucking head in. You can still win this. Just fucking relax. And I was just like, all right, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, sounds good. And I think him getting into me that much kind of just made me just calm down and relax a little bit. And the next, was it 4 holes or 5 holes, I played beautifully. I barely missed a shot coming in. And then got into a playoff with Jack and played the playoff hole beautifully. The 18th was a really hard hole. It was it's like this dog leg left. It's pretty long, normally plays into the wind. And it's normally like a 3-wood probably to the corner and then maybe an 8-iron or something in. And I was so pumped up at the time. I felt quite calm in the sense that I wasn't like just shaking and like fearful, but super, super amped. And I remember hitting this slightly toey 2-iron that started a little bit too far right. And it just drew 180 or 290. It went so far. I only had a pitching wedge. And Jack hit a decent shot, maybe just caught the wind and he got a little bit unlucky. And then his approach shot just came up short and ended up making a bogey. So, the playoff was pretty crazy. I felt pretty excited through the whole thing, but it was just an incredible feeling to win that week, given the experiences prior in that situation.
It's a wonderful story about winning. I just got to go back to Ernie Els though. Like,
Yeah. We brushed over that a little quickly.
I swear I've been listening to the last 2 minutes where you've been talking about your first professional win, mate, and that's fantastic.
Good on you, mate. That's great.
Congratulations.
But back to Ernie.
Back to Ernie, playing with the Big Easy. What's that like? What was he like out on the course? I mean, it's not every day. We have had another guest who's played with Ernie Els, Marshy, and I cannot remember for the life of me who it was.
Struggling to remember.
And I think it was in Fiji somewhere as well. But maybe run us through what it was like playing with Ernie over there, Quayle.
He was great. So it was me, Ernie Els, and Matt Griffin. We played. Yep. The three of us played together that day, and I was sitting in the players' lounge on Sunday morning. Might have been having some bacon and eggs or something in there. I can't remember. And Matt came in, sat next to me, and he's like, "Ernie, eh?" And I was like, "Yep, Ernie." And then we didn't say anything else. we're both just trying to play it super cool. And obviously we had a decent crowd out there. It was a Sunday. We were sort of like not too far off the lead. Ernie, draws a crowd, and get to the tee, and I was the last one to arrive to the tee, and Ernie was already standing there, and he's a big man. Like, he is tall, he's wide, just like power stance, just standing there, right? And so I'm walking through like this alleyway of people to get to the tee, and Ernie's just there like flicking a golf ball from one hand to the other, like, and that's all he's doing. And everything he does is like so like in rhythm and like slow, and just even the golf ball fucking looked like it was in slow motion. Like, everything he was doing, he's just cruising. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, as soon as I saw that, I was a little bit nervous about playing with him. But then when I saw that, I kind of just relaxed totally, because everything about him is calming. And so we're standing on the tee just chatting about whatever. I can't really remember. And the first 4 holes at Natadola Bay, they switch it around for when we play that event, kind of like out in the boondocks a little bit. And we play in carts for the first 4 holes. And then the last 14 we're walking. So you don't really see too much on TV, for those first 4 holes. And it's a par 5. Ernie has hit his second shot, like pin high left of the green, short side of himself left. And about 40 meters shy of the green is this little like sort of concrete cul-de-sac. We're supposed to drive up the left and do a U-E in our buggy and sort of like stop the buggy there and then just walk the 40 meters up to the green. And Ernie's obviously just said, fuck that. And he's just driven straight past it. And he's parked at about 3 meters from his golf ball. And then he's got his lob wedge out and he's just taken a few practice swings. And I'm sort of sitting there and I was just like, man, I just feel like I'm playing a Saturday comp with the boys at the moment. Like, there's probably beers in his esky. He's just parked up right next to his ball, about 3 meters from his ball and 4 meters off the fucking fringe, you know?
Yeah.
And he holds it. He holds this shot. And I'm just like, oh, man, this is going to be the best day ever. How good is this? So that's how the day started. And then we kind of just played. We had a little bit of a chat out there, whatever. And then, like I said, towards the end of the round, we finished our round. He offered a few sort of like words of wisdom, I guess, in the situation we're in. Unfortunately, he was trying to prepare me for a playoff, thinking that I'd probably already won, but just prepare that there's going to be a playoff. Instead, ended up losing outright. He probably felt a little bit bad. He ended up having a chat. It was super windy. It would have been like a 3-club wind that day. And I shot 29 on the back nine, 7 under. And he said to me afterwards, he was like, it's one of the best, back nines I've ever seen. And for me at the time, like, that was a massive confidence boost and moment in my career. Even though I didn't win that day, having a compliment like that from someone like that, I just thought, man, that's almost better than winning. That feels pretty cool. So yeah, that was probably about all that happened with Ernie. He was a nice guy.
Any Fiji bitters with Ernie post round? Because all the stories about Ernie is that loves the beer, yeah. Doesn't mind a little castle lager or two, you know.
I think, given the stories about Ernie, there was definitely beers in his esky, I reckon. No beers afterwards. No, he was straight into media commitments. But we probably had a couple minutes in the scorer's tent, and then a couple minutes outside afterwards. So,
alrighty, Nudgy. This year. It's this wraparound season that we're in. I don't know whether we ever say year or season or whatever we roll with, but anyway, it doesn't matter. You were the winner of the Queensland PGA Championship out at Nudgy Golf Club. You didn't have it all your own way on the last day, mate. You like to make things a little difficult for yourself on the last day, Quayle. Wazza was in contention. Justin Warren, Louis Dobler was there or thereabouts as well.
Gale Force came home with a strong wind.
He did. He was flying home. You've done the double, mate. You've got the Queensland Open and the Queensland PGA under your belt. It must be a very nice feeling and a great feeling to obviously be a winner again on tour and a winner in 2022.
Yeah, definitely. I think whenever you win at any level, anywhere in the world, at a professional level, you kind of feel, happy and excited. It's just hard to win. Even in the situation I was in at Nudgy, I had a 6-shot lead going into the last round, and I had a few people message me. Few people I'm not totally happy with either, saying, "Congratulations, mate! I know you're going to get it done tomorrow." I'm just like,
you
can't message that. That's not cool, man. And so I should have turned my phone off, but I got these messages, and I'm just like, that is so bad. And sure enough, the first hole at Nudgy is probably the hardest hole on the golf course, and I've made an absolute mare of it. I've hit it into that massive gum tree on the right, and I've got 220 meters in for my second on a par 4, and I've got bark around the ball and whatever, and for some reason I'm thinking, I can get it there. Like, I've got 220 meters in the bag. And so I've tried to hit 2-iron out of a lie that does not deserve to be hit with a 2-iron. And this thing's come out so squirrely and just kind of like just sort of taken off and then domed hard right into waist high, like reeds, and just not good. We find it, at 2 minutes, 45 seconds, and hack it out to the front edge of the green. Don't make up and down, make double. Played the hole beautifully. He's hit fairway. He's hit something to like 35, 40 feet pin high left. Hits an unbelievably good putt that gets robbed not to go in. It goes probably about 2 inches past, rolls over the left lip. Either way, he's my closest competitor, picks up 2 shots on me. Next hole, hit it not too bad. Just missed the fairway left. Awful lie. From 70 meters, have to try play bump and run because I can't land it on the green. They're brand new greens, so if I try to land this on the green, it's gone over the back. Try play bump and run, short side myself. has hit it. He either hit it way left or way right or in the center. I can't remember. Either way, he found a fairway. It was either the one on the right, one on the left, or one in the middle. and then he's hit it into, pretty close, holes the putt for birdie. I'm short-sighted, play a nice chip shot to about 7 or 8 feet, hole that for par, still drop another shot. So my lead's gone from 6 to 3 in 2 holes. I'm like, gee whiz, that's not good. Next hole hits a beautiful shot into about 15 feet, holes it for birdie. I hit a decent shot, goes to like 30 feet, hit a shit putt, like to 4 feet or something like that, hole that for par. Next hole, I've hit driver. It's a risk-reward tee shot on this par 5. I hit driver. I've hit driver all week, and I choose to hit iron. Steps up with driver, absolutely minces it. Easy birdie for him. I make par. And I'm just like, this is awful. This is not good. The next par 5 around the green, got me pants off, had to get in the water, play a flop shot out of the water or whatever, make my par, was lips out for eagle. So that eagle putt was to actually take a one-shot lead, ends up tapping in for birdie. And so now we're all square after 5 holes. And I didn't feel too nervous. At the moment, I've got a decent amount of peace of mind on the golf course. I'm not getting too nervous this season. And I'm standing there on the tee and I'm looking at it, and I wasn't super flustered, but I just remember standing on the 6th tee saying to myself, I thought fucking 6 shots might last you a bit longer, Quayle. And they're all gone. And then on the 6th, I hit a 5-iron from about 180 to about 2 feet and made birdie, and had a little bit of a hiccup. So it gave me some more breathing room. My lead, I think in the next 5 or 6 holes, I got my lead back out to 5. And then Louis started to push late, and my lead went from 5 back to 2 or something like that, 1 or 2. And then Louis made a bit of a hiccup late, but then Gailey obviously pushed pretty hard late as well. So, ended up having to fight pretty hard for it.
Talk to us about the moment. It was well captured. And I remember actually the two of us speaking about it after that week between yourself and your good mate Jake McLeod on the green post the victory. A couple of questions here. First, there was an image that looked like he was either giving you a kiss on the cheek or whispering something in your ear. Was it both? And if so, what did he say to you? What were his words, the first words he said to you when he ran over to you and embraced you?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I still have a hickey there, actually. No, he said, he come up to me and he was just, he's one of my best mates. So him and I have been through plenty, and he just come up and said, word for word, I reckon he goes, really fucking proud of you, man. That is a fucking cool thing to do. And he sort of, I think he's told me he loved me or whatever, and then he sort of kept spraying me with champagne. So, yeah, it was really cool. It was good.
I think it was nice to watch because it came in the context a week prior. We had almost exactly the same scene with Louis and Jed, who are obviously also very close, and they'd had that moment on the green at RQ. But it feels, I suppose the long way around to my question is, it feels a little different this year. And I don't know if that's the context of what you guys as a cohort have been through in the last 18 months and having pretty much next to no golf to play. But everyone seems to, obviously there is disappointment if you don't execute and achieve yourself, but there is a collective sense of, I suppose, pride and joy in other people's results now as well. Does it feel a little bit different this summer that everyone seems to be, happy just to be back amongst each other and playing golf, but certainly knowing that there's been a drought, I suppose, of opportunity in the past 18 months, that it's just great to see people back winning golf tournaments on home shores?
Yeah, look, I think there's always an element of your closest mates that you're competitive with them and things like that, but you're also happy for them when they're doing well. But I think you're right. I think this season, more often than not, we've seen our mates probably go through a little bit more hardship over the last 18 months, 2 years, rather than seeing them succeed or grind. Really, you're seeing them not have the opportunity to grind, bleed money, have zero opportunity. And so you probably have a sense of, compassion with your peers because you can relate to what they're going through, and you can at least in a small way, share that victory with them a little bit, because you're not getting the enthusiasm for winning for yourself, but you're genuinely happy for a good mate of yours being able to achieve something that would feel incredible, particularly given the last couple of years. Yeah.
Just on Jake, obviously he's very proud of you. I want to get your perspective on him. He's obviously a remarkable year a couple of seasons ago, top in the order of merit. He gets to start at the British Open, and I think probably by his own admission, it's been a difficult 12 months results wise, but he seems to have found it a little bit again in the last, at least since the beginning of this year. He's back into a bit of a rhythm. It must be nice for you, on the flip side of what we just spoke about, to see your good mate playing good golf again as well.
So I play practice rounds with Jakey every year, and he's playing good. He's actually playing very good. His results obviously improving, but he's playing better than what his results are showing. So, for all the blokes out there looking for a little, maybe a roughie there or something.
Jay McLeod, outstanding.
Yeah.
Let's go to Japan, figuratively, of course, because we're not jumping on a plane. You might be soon, but we're probably a little ways away yet. I have so many questions here, so you might have an opportunity to top up the Shiraz if you like. But I suppose I want to start with, did you have any experience? Like, did you know much about Japan? Had you been to Japan before you logged in there to go to get your tour card? And really, could you have imagined the relationship you've built with that country when you look back? Like, it's such a big part of your life now. And did you foresee that, happening when you made that first kind of trip over there for Q School?
Yeah. I'd been to Japan. I played a Japan amateur when I was younger. And so I'd been to Japan once, but it was different. Like, the JGA at the time had an affiliation with Golf Australia, and we were kind of chauffeured and looked after. And, we pretty much had like a translator that followed us around, and it was a little bit different. So I guess the idea I had of it was close, but definitely not accurate. And so I went up for Q School and probably started to realize, when I went for Q School, there were 3 stages and they were a month apart. So all 3 weeks were separate trips. And so each time I went up there, I was like, hang on, these Q Schools are a bit different to that Japan amateur, where I was just pampered by a amateur body that just looked after me for everything, paid for our dinner and just did everything for us. And now you're sort of up here trying to book, accommodation in a different language and a rental car and things like that. But I think the people are really nice people. I think in general, they really want what's best for you and try and help you out, and they're pretty welcoming. So it wasn't too difficult to, I guess, initially learn the ropes, I guess, once you got on tour. And again, I got really fortunate. So contending in my second week effectively locked up my card for the following season. So I finished 4th at Q School, but that 4th place finish only gets you about 6 starts the following year. And if you miss every cut in those 6 starts, you don't re-rank, and bad luck, you're back to Q School in 7 months' time. So for me, I got really fortunate in it set my rest of the year up, plus my following year. And so while I still had a fair few things to learn, I was able to probably learn a few of them a little more stress-free, because I knew I didn't have to make X amount this next event or something like that. But yeah, what a country. Yeah, it's very cool.
Can you try and this is a big question, but can you try and contextualize golf in Japan? Because I don't think the average golf fan here in Australia has any concept of what it's like in terms of whether it's a person in your shoes going over playing a tour, or even just the sport in general. I mean, I believe they still have the most number of courses per capita in the world on the island nation of Japan. From everything I've heard, golf there is not like golf here. It's a full day. It's, head out for your first 9, you come in for lunch, have a few Asahis, head out for your back 9. It's like a 9-hour experience. It's the dream, really, of every person back here in Australia, rather than trying to cram it into 4 hours. It just seems like golf in that country is almost like a way of life, almost like a religious experience each and every week for those who enjoy it. And I just don't think, as I said, the average golf fan back here in Australia has any concept, other than a few players like yourself who go and play in a Japan tour, or people like your your Hideki Matsuyamas who they see on the TV every week, and they have no understanding of what that whole ecosystem is like back in Japan.
It really is unbelievable. So like you said, oftentimes like people are sort of living in cities and quite sort of condensed sort of quarters. So they will tend to get a driver and a van. They might get half a dozen guys or whatever. And they leave at 7 o'clock in the morning. They drive an hour to get out to this golf course. They'll go out, sometimes have breakfast prior, go out, play 9 holes, takes like 2.5 hours for 9 holes, super slow. And then they come back in, they go have lunch, sit down, have a few beers. Lunch might take an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. Go back out, play the back 9, again, another 2.5 hours. And you have, normally they have a caddy for the group. So there's one caddy for all 4. Or they give you a buggy that drive themselves. They stick to the paths and one person carries the button and they sort of just push the button and stop the car whenever they need to and things like that. Come back in, normally go to the onsen or the bathhouse in the clubhouse. They just go in, have a shower, whatever, sometimes have a couple more drinks and then get in the van and then they go. So it is normally a full day experience. You don't sort of waste, you're not sort of trying to cram it into 4 hours. You're definitely wasting half your weekend when you sort of go play golf up there. But it's immaculate. The golf courses are perfect. The architecture is very different to what we're used to in Australia or other Western countries. They're super tree lined. They're US Open with fairways with out of bounds both sides. Just stuff that if you have $5 on the line, you're wanting to vomit on the tee versus your career. So the architecture is very different, but the condition is immaculate almost every week. It is. You would almost argue, and have had a few people try and argue, that the condition of the courses we play in Japan every week rival any tour in the world. They are just immaculate with how they go about everything. Yeah.
Which is probably pretty on brand, right? Because an incredibly proud people. Like everything over there is immaculate. So I'm not surprised that all the golf courses are.
It's definitely.
Talk to us about how significant was Hideki's Masters win for a country like Japan, given their love of golf? Because again, I think we as fans here see a guy who we've come to know and love for 10 years on the tour. We win. It's like, oh, that's great. It's good to see someone other than the usual suspects win a major. It's good to see an international player win a major. And then I think we switch off. Whereas this is a guy who can't go to the shops back in Japan without being completely mobbed. And the significance of him winning the most significant major for that game in that country. I wonder if you can, based on your experience, try and share a bit of context about how important that was for that country.
It'll be difficult to totally explain it. So,
I bet.
all I'll say is Hideki Matsuyama is in no way, what's the best way to say it? Imagine Brad Pitt walking down the street anywhere in the world. That's Hideki Matsuyama in Japan. He is just like a A+ grade celebrity. There's another guy in Japan, Ryo Ishikawa, who is on par as well. Now, Ryo he's played President's Cups. He has played in the US, but at the moment he's playing full-time in Japan. And you would say him and Hideki are like, I can't even describe to you the celebrity status that they have. Ryo I'm decent mates with, and Ryo has to wear hoodie, face mask whenever he goes out. He can't do anything but. He'll just go out for a shop for the day or just go out for lunch or something, and he fully rugs up. Like he can't do anything. And Hideki would be probably at another level. He is. That country loves golf so much. The home tour there gets ridiculous amounts of people out watching. The viewership is crazy. The golfing economy, I think, is second largest to the US. Out of anywhere in the world. But they are crazy about golf. Like each individual person will spend so much money on golf. It's not funny. There are people, for example, this is just trying to sort of add some context. There are people that will go and buy the exact same outfits that Ryo or Hideki wear. do side-by-side photos, and that's their entire Instagram account. It's the same pose in the exact same outfit for an entire Instagram feed, so like they just love it so much. And not only is like Hideki winning good for golf in Japan, it's massive for golf worldwide, because the amount of people that love golf, will invest in golf, want to play golf in Japan is ridiculous.
One more name I want to throw at you, because it's a name that's gathering a bit of momentum in kind of junior and amateur, and now, at the very beginning of his probably pro career, but a name that probably not a lot of people have heard, and that's Takumi Kanaya. And I wonder how significant he is in terms of, he's probably not at a Ishikawa and certainly not at a Matsuyama level, but I'm sure given the popularity of the game, he is certainly conscious of the fact that he will take that mantle at some stage, as Hideki and Rio get at the back end of their careers. So you can probably, try and not even fathom the pressure that a young guy like Takumi Kanaya would be under, to understand that's the weight that'll be on his shoulders of a country, so mad for golf like Japan is.
Yeah, Takumi's a great guy though. He is just a super humble sort of guy. He works ridiculously hard, to be honest. He's a bit of a robot. He just continues to practice. Like he loves golf. He's obviously super young. He loves golf. So typically we will sort of play a practice round Tuesday, the practice or pro-am Wednesday, then Thursday through Sunday. Monday's your travel day, and you just keep going. Maybe play for 3-4 weeks in a row, have a week off, and then do it again. He plays everything. Like he would play 35 weeks a year, and his travel day on Monday, if it's anything less than, 7 hours, he'll find time to go and hit some more balls in the afternoon. He is an animal. He practices so much. It's interesting. In Japan, they typically have an entourage around each player. So they will have their fitness trainer, they'll have their, mental coach, they'll have their caddy, they'll have their coach, they'll have their physio, they might even just have handlers. I don't even really know. All I know is they have a team of 7 or 8 people doing who knows what, just following them around, making sure that everything they need is looked after. And so I think that, in a sense, for them creates I'm sure they would feel pressure, but I also think that the fact that they have such a big team around them, supporting them and helping them with anything, alleviates a little bit of that. They're not putting all of it on their own shoulders. But yeah, Takumi is going to do incredibly well. He's a pretty good player.
It's a fascinating place, Quayle, and I mean, just based off the full day experience, it's a place I certainly want to go and play golf. But I can only imagine how lucky you feel that you've had a chance to, be so involved in the Japanese tour, because it's as a place to visit, it's a wonderful country, and I imagine so hospitable from a golfing perspective. I'm conscious of your time because you've been very generous. We just don't want to keep you up too late, given it's tournament week. There's a couple more though that I want to cover off on. You mentioned a little earlier your peace of mind, and I also read an article recently where they use the dreaded P word, perspective, which I think is an overly saturated term, but one that's important. Yeah. I wonder if, have you consciously worked on that? Was there a light bulb moment where you thought, shit, I need to go away and maybe just, be a little bit more level-headed? Have you engaged someone? What was the catalyst for you to take a bit of time out and go, right, maybe as I transition to the next phase of my career, that I know that having a little bit more balance in my life will be valuable to me both on and off the course?
I think with COVID and how much time we spent away from last year, I spent probably about 8-9 months away from friends and family, and I spent 2 months in hotel quarantine. And maybe it just made me crazy. Maybe it's not perspective. Maybe I've just lost it. But I think for me, probably after just going through that, I feel like I really want to play golf and I want to compete. I'm super ambitious. I want to do really well in my career. But at the same time, it's not really worth all that much if you're not enjoying yourself as well. So I think for me this year, my biggest priority has been just enjoying life, and almost everything is secondary to that. And I'm also very fortunate that one of the things that I like to do, which makes me genuinely enjoy my life, is playing golf and competing and catching up with the guys on tour. They're all things that really do add value to my life and what I enjoy doing. So I think probably just having a sense of normality back to what I'm doing, as well as, golf is important. Being competitive and trying to do the best I can is important, but that almost takes care of itself if I'm just enjoying myself and just having fun doing what I'm doing.
What are the plans for 2022, mate? Obviously, you've got Japan there. You've got the full Aussie tour, which we've got about 5 or 6 tournaments left. There's 3 cards up for grabs on the DP World Tour, of which you are currently holding one of those as at present time of recording. What's the plan for the rest of 2022 with so many options on the table?
Yeah, look, I think I'll play these next 3 events in Sydney, and then the plan is to head to Japan. The tour starts at the end of this month, the start of April, sort of around there. So I'll head back up there. I'll get back into the tour there, and then I think they're going to drop their quarantine period in Japan, hopefully while I'm here in Sydney. So if that's the case, I'll go to and from Australia and Japan while I'm playing there, and then they have a 2-month break in the schedule over summer, or our winter. So the plan is to probably head to America, do some Monday qualifiers, and just play and compete and enjoy myself over there for a little bit.
Does the carrot dangled during the week of qualification to the US Open at Brookline change anything for you? We spoke about it earlier, and obviously Jed's got a fairly handy lead there at the top of the order of merit, but by no means insurmountable, particularly with the purse on offer at the New South Wales Open. So knowing that you could sew up a spot at the US Open with some handy performances the next couple of weeks certainly must make it a little bit more, from an incentive perspective, comfortable to be staying here before you head off to Japan.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do something pretty special, but it's definitely not unachievable. I probably need to win twice, I think, out of the next 3 weeks, and one of them needs to be the New South Wales Open. So if I can do that, then I think there'll be a chance. But really, at the moment, the ball's in Jed's court. If Jed continues to play well, then it's going to be very difficult to catch him. We kind of need to do something pretty special and then get a little bit of help from him as well. So, yeah, look, it would be fantastic. I would definitely like to play my first major and head over there and compete and do a few things, but I'm going to have to earn it, that's for sure.
I've been told to ask you, how's the shred going? And you can tell me who that came from, and we may confirm or deny.
I have a couple ideas who that's come from.
How is the shred going, Quayle?
Oh, mate, slowly, very slowly. I don't think this Shiraz is helping me too much.
Well, if what you were telling us before we hit the record button, I'm not sure if you're popping back downstairs to the Coogee Bay Hotel to join Dimmy Papadopoulos, Jake McLeod, and who was the other one? Braithen Nasta. Obviously, you good mates. Not sure if you're popping back downstairs. You said they were having an afternoon punt post PGA event. So are you heading? What's the shred? Talk us through it. What's the plan?
Oh, look, I don't know.
We've stitched you up well here.
This is a bit of a stitch up. Bloody hell.
It pays to have friends. It's good stuff. Friends are good for you. They're really good people.
No, they're great. They're great. I guess the shred maybe just a few less chicken palmies for me this year, and 4x golds will probably do me some good. But apart from that, I don't plan on changing too much.
Just on I suppose the punt party going on downstairs, I wonder if you're in the wrong room, because based on an article I saw during the week that Braith has offered to waive Dimmy's management fee should he get up at Bonnie Doon.
Is that
this
right?
week? Yeah. Well, he's on the record. It was an article via a good friend of this pod, Tony Wiebeck, on the PGA website, that Braith is on the record saying if Dimmy has a win at Bonnie Doon that he'll waive the management fee. And I'm just wondering if the same offer has been afforded to you, being also a Seru stablemate.
maybe I need to be downstairs on the beers.
I think so.
Self here. I don't know what's going on.
I'll probably be asking a question because if he's offering to waive the commission for one of his players, it'd be pretty rude if he took his clip or few on Sunday afternoon should he get up.
Well, if we can get some evidence of that statement, then I'll be fine. I reckon I'll just hold him to it.
We'll flick you through. A little screenshot of the quote. Two more quick ones from me. Is there any sort of wager or competition going on between yourself and David Micheluzzi for the best mustache on the PGA Tour of Australasia? And if so, who in your mind is currently leading that competition?
There's definitely no competition. More praise for one another's effort. I actually spoke to him yesterday. I said that we've been going on for a few weeks now. We wanted to get the sort of ends that you can curl up.
The twirl.
Yeah. And so, look, I thought I would be really, really proud of myself if I could get there. And last week, I sort of chucked a bit of wax in there and I got these two beautiful ringlets. And I just took a step back and I looked at myself. I was like, that's bad, Quayle. I just flipped it off. Well, that's bad. You can't be doing that. And so I think Mick is still trying to grow that. I think he's pretty set on keeping them. But look, if he gets there, then he can take the crown. I'll give it to him.
And just finally, Quayle, I don't think enough was made of this a few weeks ago down at the TPS Murray River, the Cobram Barooga, lovely Cobram Barooga golf course. But it was mentioned for all of about 15 seconds on the broadcast when the camera panned past you at the end of your final round, and someone picked up that, in fact, the reigning PGA Championship winner and leader of the Order of Merit was actually on your bag. Is that correct? Was Jed Morgan carrying your clubs on the weekend at TPS Murray River?
Yeah, just on Sunday he came out.
What's going on? How did this come about? Obviously, we saw that he, I think he only played one round down there and I think retired. But obviously just didn't have any better offers down in regional Victoria, New South Wales. Get on the bag for Quayle on Sunday.
Yeah, well, I guess everyone else pays shit. I don't know. No, me and Jed stay together a little bit. So we were staying together that week and he tweaked his neck. That's why he only played one round. And so he couldn't play the second round. He just relaxed on Saturday, went and got some treatments, all the physio, things like that. And then on Sunday, he was like, mate, there's not a lot to do in Yarrawonga. So I might come out and pull the clubs. He didn't carry him because of his neck, but he just chucked it on the bag and just pulled the clubs for a bit. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. He's fun.
A truly rare unit, that man, and one that we thoroughly enjoy. So it's good to see him giving back, Quayle. Good to see him giving back to the game.
He's just helping out the little guy, I reckon. So proud of him.
Well, mate, it's been fantastic to spend a bit of time. We appreciate, obviously, it's getting late down where you are, and we don't want to hold you up because we want to make sure that Braith is waiving the management fee come Sunday afternoon. So, look, go downstairs, bail him up on that, and mate, all the very best for not just the TPS this week at Bonnie Doon, but the remainder of the season. Love to see you wrap up one of those 3 DP World Tour cards and obviously get a bit of momentum going to Japan. Really appreciate your time, Quayle, and hopefully it's the first of a few conversations, and hopefully in the next one we dress down a little bit.
Yeah,
based on tonight.
I feel super sort of bad that I'll rein that back off.
Good man, Quayle. Thanks for your time.
Fellas, thank you. Cheers, really appreciate it.